Thank you for joining us for Bible study today. As usual, we have some very interesting conversations around the word of the Lord. Today we are going to be drawing again from the book of Genesis. If you have your Bibles, get it. We are going to be reading from Genesis chapter 16, but Clifton is going to read for me in a little while. Again, we ask some serious questions around the word as it relates to our family members. We're going to talk a little bit today about Hagar and her role in Abraham's family. And we trust that, together we learn some things and we will be able to be better at addressing some of the challenges that are in our family. So I'm going to invite Brother Clifton to read Genesis chapter 16 with me again today, Sister Audrey. We're happy to have her with us today. Always excited to have her around the table for our discussions. She brings life and energy to our studies, and we're always pleased to have her. Thank you for joining us today, and we will now have a discussion today because we're going to touch an issue of favoritism. We're going to touch an issue of those members of our family who are there but are not seen. Alright? Let's talk a little bit about that as we have that.
Right, thank you. So Genesis chapter 16, and it surrounds the story of Abraham and Hagar. So Sarah, Abraham's wife, was not able to have children. She owned an Egyptian slave named Hagar. So Sarah said to Abraham, "The Lord has kept me from having children. Why don't you sleep with my slave? Maybe I can build a family through her." Abraham agreed with Sarah. After Abraham had lived in Canaan for 10 years, Abraham's wife Sarah took her Egyptian slave Hagar and gave her to her husband Abraham to be his wife. He slept with Hagar and she became pregnant. When Hagar realized that she was pregnant, she began to be disrespectful to Sarah, her own. So Sarah complained to Abraham, "I am being treated unfairly, and it is your fault. I know that I gave my slave to you, but now that she's pregnant, she's being disrespectful to me. Maybe the Lord decides who is right, you or me." Abraham answered Sarah, "Here, she is your slave. Do what you like with her." Then Sarah mistreated Hagar so much that she ran away. The messenger of the Lord found her by a spring in the desert, and the spring on the way to shore. He said, "Hagar, Sarah's slave, where have you come from and where are you going?" She answered, "I am running away from my owner Sarah." The messenger of the Lord said to her, "Go back to your owner and place yourself under her authority." The messenger of the Lord also said to her, "I will give you many descendants. No one will be able to count them because there will be so many." Then the messenger of the Lord said to her, "You are pregnant, and you will give birth to a son. You will name him Ishmael." God hears. Because the Lord has heard her cry of distress, he will be as free and wild as an untamed donkey. He will fight with everyone, and everyone will fight with him. He will have conflicts with all his relatives. Hagar named the Lord who had been speaking to her, You are the God who watches over me," she said. "This is the place where I watch, the one who watches over me. This is why the well is named Beer Lahai-roi, well of the living one who watches over me. It is still there between Keshed and Beer." Hagar gave birth to Abraham's son, and Abraham named him Ishmael. Abraham was 86 years old when Hagar gave birth to Ishmael. This is the word of the Lord.
Thanks. Thank you very much, Brother Clifton. A very interesting conversation, and I'm glad that we got a chance to hear it and to be a part of it. We've been saying that the family is a place where we need to be inclusive. We are saying that the family is though flawed, represents an institution of hope. We have been raising questions about what the family should look like. In chapter 16 of Genesis, we get a chance to enter into Abraham and Sarah's home. I want to believe that it was a bedroom scene that we're seeing. They're having a conversation, what we generally call a pillow talk. They are reasoning, they are reflecting. Chapter 15 tells us that Abraham was anxious, and therefore he seemed to have brought this anxiety into his home. And he and his wife is seeking to solve a problem. They had a problem. Abraham and Sarah did not have a son, and God had promised them to give them a son. And so they are asking the question in light of the observation that Sarah says that God has prevented her from having a child. So they are now asking the question, how can we solve this problem? In solving the problem, they are having a conversation. And as you have heard from the text, the conversation is about Hagar. But what is disturbing is that Hagar is not there. In fact, they are having the conversation as if Hagar doesn't even exist. They are having the conversation as though Hagar is just their property, just something or someone to use. I ask the question as we reflect tonight in this Bible study. What value should be placed on family members? Should their status determine whether they are treated with respect and regard? Let me hear the conversation. Brother Clinton, I'm going to come to you first. Because in my understanding of this text, they were making plans about Hagar, but Hagar didn't even know about it. Is that the way we should treat our family members? Let me tell you.
Right. So I like that punchline in terms of the family member. But just to step back, even though Hagar was a part of the family system by blood, there was a relationship. And that I am now looking at it, the fact that she's just either seen as a slave woman who's helping out in the family, then this is where they're just treating her as an object and I can do as I please. But in terms of valuing the person and the fact that she will be used as a valuable instrument in making the family, I believe that better inclusion should have been there for Hagar in terms of the decision that will be made. Even though as a subject in terms of being a slave, she's going to respond to what the master requires. So I think that we would need a better communication would need to be there to include. It doesn't matter if you are below, at the same level or above, but communication needs to be there to include any decisions.
Audrey, how important it is that every family member have a sense that they are valued and they are part of the family, whether they have been brought in as a servant in our context sometimes, or a step, right, or an adopted member of family. How important it is for them to have a sense that they are valued.
Most of the time, if we move the labels that we ascribe to people, it will make us, put us in a better position to deal with them as part of the family. So for instance, instead of say step,
yes,
son,
yes,
you become son.
Yes.
Then you find that you don't see them as an outsider.
Right.
It gives you a better level playing field for those in the family to deal with them as such.
Yes.
So because you're now my brother,
yes,
instead of my step brother.
Yes.
Then it changed the way we view you.
Yes.
And it should change the way of how your parents or those in leadership positions in the household see you. Because if I see you being treated differently, then I most likely am going to treat you differently, and it shouldn't be.
Yes.
Equal opportunity should be given,
yes,
to everybody that becomes a part of your household.
Yes.
Whether you're a far cousin or stranger, when you bring inside of the household, you should be given equal opportunities.
Yes.
So you're part of the family. So
Yes.
so we're eating at the same table.
Table.
Yes.
So
Possibly
it's not
sometimes based on the social economic, okay, we sleeping probably in the same bed, in room too,
Yes.
and sometimes bed.
Yes.
But you're treated differently
Yes.
because me not blood, or me not really son.
Yes. So let me ask, because this is it, the crux of the matter here. They are making a decision, and they're treating Hagar as though she's just an object. Right? She doesn't need to be consulted. She doesn't need to express in any way an opinion, although it is going to be impacting her. For at least 9 months, she's going to have to be carrying this child that they're planning to ask her to become the surrogate mother for. Is it that they're not thinking that she would somehow become attached to this child?
But if you're a slave, they're not really quick with feelings and emotions. And if you're the help too, for true, they don't really see you as a great contributor to the household, not just your help.
But what is important there is that the individual is a person.
Yes.
And that carries feelings.
Yes, and emotions.
Expressing emotions. So therefore it is just not, it's not a blank scene, it's not a column.
Yes.
So it is that the person is going to express.
Yes.
So if it is that somebody is showing the extra love and affection,
Yeah.
they are going to feel that emotion. So it's not because somebody is saying, I'm giving you the favor to go ahead.
Yes.
But then the danger lies when there is attachment, those feelings are going to come into play.
Yes.
And it's really treading dangerous grounds. So, but in terms of the whole inclusion, you should be able to say, this is what we are planning.
Yes.
How can we include you? Just as if it's a matter of a young woman who has a child and they think that the person shouldn't have the child at this point, we're going to take the child away from the individual without any conversation.
Asking you.
And then that is where things are dangerous, and then it can just spill in the other direction that you're not planning for, and in terms of how things will run out, go on negative.
So can we then recognize that perhaps the contempt with which Hagar is now responding to Sarah with
Was what she was given.
was a sense that, look, you have brought me into this, you have planned me into this without consulting, right? I am now beginning to feel as though you use me. Right? And it is important that family members feel that the contribution that they make are important and valued in the context of family life. Right? So I hear you say, be careful of the labels that we use.
Yeah.
Be careful of the labels that we use, because sometimes these labels mask a perception that is within our hearts and minds. It doesn't allow us to relate freely to those who are part of our household. Right? So even in the context of work, sometimes we find ourselves treating persons who do not have the same level of qualification and social status.
Yeah.
Yeah? And sometimes we treat them differently as though they are just objects to be treated. Now, the text is interesting, Audrey, because the conversation between the angel and Hagar is very interesting. One of the things that the angel said to her is that, look, you're running away.
But I was just gonna allude to that.
Yes.
The fact that even though you're mistreated in families,
Yes.
God expects you to do something otherwise.
Yes.
Because He send you back until you must be
Submissive.
to the
Yes.
authority.
Yeah.
And it's really hard.
The human part.
Yes.
Yeah.
But God, because how they treat you now, God will reward you if you don't lose who you are and become vindictive.
Yes.
And because if you notice when Hagar started sending back what she received with Venom,
Yes.
it backfired on her.
Yes.
So God don't want you to take matters in your own hand when you are disenfranchised.
Disenfranchised.
Yes.
Yes.
But He wants you to be.
Showing your obedience.
Yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So humility is coming right,
Yes.
coming out right there.
And
Yes.
and it's
So,
hard.
so even though you realize that you have been used, you have been...
don't retaliate.
You weren't a part of those decisions.
You appreciate it as...
But how can you, if it is that you keep the stability or the status quo, how can you still allow things to work without creating any disturbance? Because at the end of the day, even though what we see here, the agreement that was made and she was thrust into a particular relationship and it happened, and then the abuse that was meted out to her. Yes, the human side said, guess what, we can't take it no more, may I leave, but guess what? There was an intervention, the angel said, go back.
Yes.
Show enough.
Yes.
Subdue yourself.
Yes.
You see, for me, this isn't very instructive. The way we treat people could cause them to run away, as in this case with Agar, and engage in self-destructive
patterns,
behaviors and patterns. In this case, not only to herself, but to the child that she was bearing. Right? And we need to be careful about the decisions we make when we feel as though we have been used. When we feel as though we have not been valued, it is important that we make rational decisions.
Yeah, and the repercussions for bad decisions for generations to come.
Yes.
Because after you who are in charge of the household take some decision that the child is not really responsible for, it affects generations to come.
Yes.
Because me now see you treating Clifton as favorite and stuff. Later on when you pass and gone, me and Clifton can have no relationship where all we can see him is Mama favorite.
Yes. Yes.
And that's Clifton, even though Clifton was responsible for how Mama do.
Yes.
And Clifton have a beer, the belt.
So there are two things that is popping in my mind.
Yes.
So the pressures that happen within our family unit,
yes,
and that cause people to rebel,
yes,
and to say, "I can't deal with this no more." Either them run away from the situation, they don't want to face it. There are some situations where some people come back.
Yeah.
We spoke about being self-destructive, and we create. So people end up, like some females end up into prostitution and other things. So because of they can't manage what is happening, whether it is that they see the favoritism that is played out and then just think because me either black or ugly or me never look like them.
Yes.
And that's what I think. But there are some people who will be guided back.
Yes.
And the restoration is done.
Possible, but sometimes it don't happen.
And sometimes it don't happen. But how can we as family, prevent that?
Yes.
So we don't have these Hagar situations popping up.
Yes.
And in terms of creating this. It comes back to the story of the prodigal son.
Yes.
Where, well, not necessarily the backstory to it, but an individual decides to, I'm leaving.
Yes.
Yeah.
But then he got that intervention to say, yes, I'm going to go back,
Yes.
But I'm going to bring myself down to humility.
Yes.
And to say, Father, take me back.
Yes.
Even I'm going to start cleaning the place.
Yes.
For that reason, I will come back.
Yes.
And that is what I think it is required in terms of
humility. It opens the door for restoration and how important restoration is in a person's life. Even if they take the wrong path, don't write me off. Leave the door open, then I can be restored.
Yes.
So that my life can change.
Yes.
And the story can be written differently.
Even as we talk about that prodigal story that is recorded here in Luke 15, the tragedy is not even so much the son that went away. It is the one who was at home, who felt that he wasn't valued, who felt as though his father did not love him, who felt as though he was unseen. He was there, but was not there.
So ungratefulness steps in too.
It steps in. Because we have to be careful. We have to be careful. He felt as though the father showed favoritism to the son that wandered.
Yes.
Right? So we must be careful that even though family members may make mistakes,
you have to offer explanation to the one at home.
Right? The one at home needs to be affirmed.
To the table,
right? He should not feel as though he's there, as he suggested. I was there for so many years and not even a calf. You have never had a party, right? And now this son of yours, this wayward vagabond, as he would see him, right? He didn't call him my brother. You understand? Which means that there was animosity there. And so parents have to be careful in the way they treat with, not just the one who's wild and have the tendency to be troublesome, but to those who are quiet, those who seem to give no trouble. We have to affirm them. Affirmation has to be an important element. people has to be valued and seen and told
Yeah,
that they are
spoken
appreciated.
word is very much important because
Yes.
you'll be there thinking you're not loved.
Yes.
When it's far from what is, because you're not never yet told
Told.
that
Right.
I love you
Right.
and really appreciate
Right.
you. They appreciate the fact that you stick with the book.
Yes.
They appreciate the fact that you always help out at home.
Yes.
And instead of this, you don't feel like you only give me the donkey work.
Yes. Yes.
But they appreciate your sense of responsibility that
Yes.
you bring to the table.
That has to be done. The
Yeah.
affirmation.
And verbalize it.
Parents and family members need to affirm.
And also provide blessing.
Yes.
Because
Yes, rewards.
rewards. So that
Yes.
blessing.
Yes. So
is
you can
always
never say you
there.
never get no party.
Yes.
So the blessing is the affirmation to him.
Yes.
Yes.
It's a form of affirmation that needs to be done. You know, you go back again and you look at what Jacob did to Joseph. He gave him this special code. It stood out.
And cause animosity
Yes.
between them and
It caused animosity to the point
the murder.
that they did not value him.
Yeah.
They did not appreciate him to the extent that they feel that they could sell him into slavery without no sense of regret or remorse. You know, so what we are saying is that the emotional state, the sense of personhood, the sense that you are valued, you are a valuable human being to begin with, and a valuable member of this household needs to be said. And so sometimes, you know, we use just negative, especially in certain cultures. We speak only negative things about those members of community who do not necessarily seem to exemplify the family values, the family dreams and aspirations.
Call them black sheep.
And we use negative language to refer to them. So we need to pay attention then to the language we use, the labels that we ascribe to family members. We need to be careful that as much as possible,
Be inclusive.
they are included in the plans that we are making for them.
Yeah.
Yes.
So family needs to be mindful of the decisions that are being made for the unit, for others.
Yes.
And because of, as I speak about the negative backlash that can happen.
Yes.
And because we need to know that once the decisions are being made, we spoke about inclusion.
Yes.
That, you know, the individuals who is at stake is a part
Or
of
will
it.
be affected by what they
Yes.
do.
Yes. So I would suggest we pay attention to people's feelings. We are emotional beings. We have feelings. Sometimes, as you will hear some children say, it's not what is said, you know, but it is where and when. So sometimes parents have a way of saying some things in public space where if it was said in private, it would not have had the same emotional negative impact as it has, because it now brings embarrassment.
And then
Yes.
we have to bring it closer to home. That a generation has changed.
Yes.
And back in the days when we were growing up, your children must be seen and not heard.
Yes.
And sometimes when people articulate, you think them rude and then lippy.
Yes.
But you must be big enough to listen.
Yes.
Listen.
Yes.
Give somebody a voice to speak, because you can't want to tell them at home say children must be seen and not heard, and when they go to school you want them to talk up.
Yes.
Because if you socialize and call them down all the time, when they go in at work, in their workspaces, they're not going to be able to bring their voice to the table.
Yes.
Because they are always browbeaten and thinking they don't have anything to say.
Yes.
So how does a family correct that?
That has always been like the tradition of how you were grown and socialized.
Yes. Well, as I said, some things take generations to correct. And I am pleased with what I'm seeing with this generation, where we are encouraging our children to speak up, not to suppress their feelings. And I understand where they were coming from, right? Because that was a sign culturally of respect, of not being in the space of adults and acting as though you are an adult when you are a child. So we understand the cultural background from which that comes. But I believe that the time has come for us to recognize that children have rights. And we need to be careful to ensure that the right to speak, the right to be heard is practiced and in culture. Not just in the context of home, but also in the public space, at school, at church. you know, and you know where the generational gaps are. You know, the older folks and the younger ones, sometimes that tension do arise. So we have to be very careful. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. So what we're saying is that we need to be mindful, not just to plan for, but to plan with, to ensure as much as possible every member of community has a voice, that their opinion is sought. It does not mean that everything they say will be embraced, but they should understand why we are saying not this or this way, right? It is important. The thing that strikes me from the text, Hagar says, you are the God who not just hear but sees me. Right? So
probably the first time she feel recognized.
Yes. And that is important.
Sad.
Right? That is important. And the truth is that some of the social behaviors that are unacceptable to us, that are displayed by some children, is simply because the affection that they get when they go outside of the home, they have never gotten it at home, and they feel so overwhelmed by those who extend it.
So a hug is important.
So a hug is important.
Well done is important.
A well done.
Thanks is important.
Yes.
Your value is important.
Yes.
And your love is important.
Yes.
Let it not be those words, those 3 words
yes.
are spoken outside and they never hear it at home.
Yeah. And that is posing some challenges, because some children are running away to get that.
Yes.
Some children are running away from abuse. Physical and verbal and emotional abuse. So we have to be careful as we relate to our family members to ensure that we understand our role is to empower them so that they may achieve their fullest potential. You know, it is a challenge, and we want to bring that to the table. We do not want any more Hagars running away. We do not want any more plans being made without consideration of Hagar's opinion. Hagar is a human being created in the image of God. Abraham may have a label on her, but her label should not fully describe who she really is. And so as we struggle with this, and we know in our Jamaican context, it's a struggle. It's a cultural issue that we have to work through. We use some words to describe some family members. We call them worthless. And so we say
walkless.
We call them ravens. And so we call them right? These words that we use, these concepts that we use to describe our children, listen, they have deep emotional impact, and they scar them sometimes for life. Even as we speak, one of the message of hope as I close this Bible study is the fact that when the angel counseled her to go back home, she did. She went back home. And I ask that question of all of us. Are we making it possible for those who may have run away from home to come back home? What about our prodigal family members? Can they come back home without notice? Can they come back home without permission? Can they come back home? And if they come back home,
what is the reception?
What is the reception? Will we be cold like the brother who was standing at the gate? Or will we be as joyful as the father? Play music, have a party, invite others to come and celebrate them. Oh, I trust that if you have one of those like Hagar who has run away and is likely to be engaging in self-destructive behavior, oh, I appeal to you today. We appeal to you today to return home. The eyes of the Lord is upon you. He sees you. He understands the pain and the hurt that you're experiencing. But He believes that the home is the best place for you.
And promise you an heritage to whatever.
Yes. So today I'm very grateful that you have come to share with us. And we trust that our discussion around this subject, very difficult in some respects, right? That today you will be encouraged. And as parents, as you and family members and caregivers, remember, we need to show kindness, consideration, We need to express and affirm the worth that we see in our children and our family members. I trust that this is going to be a time of healing for all of us as we work hard to realize our fullest potential. The blessing of the Lord be with you. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious unto you. The Lord lift up the light of his countenance upon you and grant you his peace. We say,
Amen.
Amen.